This looks like the emergency room actually probably of our. Oh, it's in Khan Yunis. I can't quite see.
The Nasser Hospital.
Is it in Nasser? There you go. So you've got blood on the floor, you've got people working, and you've got injured people coming in. When I tell you that these mass casualties, for example, on July the 13th was 189 injured people and 55 dead. On July 22nd, 265 injured people and over 80 dead. This is a huge influx of children, of healthcare workers in the mass casualty on the July 13th. The second wave of injured coming in were uniformed ambulance workers. It's so shocking for someone who's been in a war to see healthcare workers coming in like that.
I was going to say, it's one of the grimmest places for healthcare workers as well. They have been, well, some targeted, some killed in the crossfire, killed in the event. How do the people who you work with, how do they keep up their endurance and keep their, moral and professional duty to do no harm and to keep trying to help people survive under these circumstances?
I think we're all medics at core, and you go to work, and there's a huge element of stiff upper lip amongst my colleagues, and the number of times I've seen them shaking, eyes, pupils dilated, fear because of an evacuation order, a strike near where they were living that meant they had to displace and move somewhere for safety one night, and the next day they're at work. Or, for example, in middle of an evacuation order, for example, July 22nd, large evacuation order for eastern parts of Khan Yunis, rolling mass casualty all day. I look up from my mass casualty, and there's a colleague there who I know shouldn't be there, and I ask them why you're there, and their brother and his children and their collective home had been struck that day. Or I go back to the ward, and the physiotherapist or the counsellor, both in tears. What's happened? Our families are calling us from that evacuation zone. They can't move out of the building. They can see Israeli tanks. They don't feel safe to come. So even though you're professional, you're working, you're coming to work, you have an armor, you steel yourself. There are moments where it penetrates you, and it really takes you aback. And people are expressing to me, when they express any emotion, are expressing to me that they'd rather just die. They're waiting for death. They've lost hope. And that's preferable to what they're going through with the serial displacements and the lack of safety.
Said that total victory or absolute victory against Hamas is, quote, a nonsense. He's criticizing the prime minister. And I just wondered how you view it. I'm not asking you politically, but do you see areas that are so-called cleared of Hamas? Is it getting any less Hamas or what? Because from what we gather, obviously the evacuation orders, the striking of this, the striking of that, means that these people are still there. It's like whack-a-mole.
Well, that's how I see it, because the evacuation orders and the areas where you're getting strikes are repeating themselves. So even in Gaza City in the north, where we had a clinic, there were more evacuation orders. Now in Khan Yunis, back and forth. Khan Yunis was cleared much earlier this year, so them coming back to Khan Yunis to have to do any more military action was a surprise.